Hi everybody, I'm Mike Garska with SuccessToolChest.com and FindAMentor.com. Welcome to this week's Help Me Communicate, where I help you be a better communicator. This week, I'm going to talk about how to engage someone who's different than you, communicating across cultures, maintaining respect, and inspiring and motivating people from all walks of life to work hard and to be effective. I live in Edmonton, Canada. We are a multicultural society. In North America, we're multicultural. That's the way it is. So in order to be successful in our countries, in Canada and the United States, we have to learn to engage and motivate and inspire people from other cultures. It's been a fact of life since the beginning of our countries. There are three really important things to consider and to do to engage people from another culture. Number one, find a feeling of acceptance inside yourself. It's there. How do you access that feeling of acceptance? I'll give you a few tips on that. Number two, ask more questions before sharing your opinions. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Asking questions is critical if you want to engage somebody from another culture. Look for common denominators. That's the third thing that you do. So let's start with, how do you find that feeling of acceptance inside you? It's all about perception. That their feeling of acceptance is inside you. You can access it and you can activate it. You, at some point in your life, have found acceptance for other people and their differences. We all have to some degree. I'm asking you to dig deep, find that level of acceptance, or find that sense of acceptance and genuine inquiry about other people and curiosity, and access it and share it. When we demonstrate to another person that we are genuinely interested in them, that we want to find out about their culture, we demonstrate acceptance. And as soon as we demonstrate a feeling of acceptance, we inspire that feeling of acceptance in another person. So that's why it's so important to find that feeling of inquiry, of curiosity and acceptance in differences, and then to express it. It inspires that same curiosity and inquisitiveness and a sense of acceptance in the other person or in anybody watching. We all have differences. It helps me to find acceptance for differences when I realize that we all have differences. Every human is unique and different. Do you like to be honored for those little things in you that are unique to you and different from anybody else? Of course you do. We all want to honor who we are, to be ourselves. We all have different DNAs, 7 billion different people with different DNAs. We all have a different human interaction process, the way that we communicate with other people. We all do that based on our values and beliefs that we grew up with. And everybody's is a little bit unique, just like our DNA is unique. So to find acceptance for difference in others, we have to accept that we are, in fact, all different on many different levels. That's how I find that acceptance for me. People have different traditions. I want to honor the traditions that I gained from being part of my family. So does everybody else. So if I want to honor that, I want that honored for me, then I should honor it for other people. And when I seek first to understand and to be understood, then I'm gaining that same respect from others. And when I show somebody else that I want to understand and respect them, they naturally want to understand and respect me most of the time. It doesn't happen every time, but most of the time that's what happens. So no matter what color, what race, what religion, what culture somebody comes from, they want to honor their ethnic origin, their family traditions. And so do I. So validate that. And then it's validated in you. If you want to validate your unique cultures and your unique traditions, then value it in other people. First give it to them, then you'll get it back. You know, I've traveled to over 20 different countries on 4 continents, and I've hired and fired people from every walk of life. I've worked with teams from every walk of life that have achieved great results in different aspects of business or even life. I've made mistakes communicating with people from cross cultures, and I've learned how to correct those mistakes and make things right. And I want to teach you how to do that. I'm married to a woman who was born in Pakistan and moved to Winnipeg, Canada as a young girl. and went to school here and grew up here and went to university here and became a doctor here. But her tradition is from Pakistan, and her tradition is Islam or being a Muslim. And I can honor that, and she can honor what my history and my traditions are. And we're both stronger and better people because we honor the differences and we engage the good parts of each other's differences. You know, I've been lucky to have had a natural ability to communicate in sensitive situations and across cultures. I'm lucky to have had a mother that taught me to accept people from every walk of life. And that natural ability to communicate and that learning to accept people from every walk of life has helped me inspire and motivate people from any walk of life. I'm going to share a quick story. About 20 years ago, I was traveling with my family through Scotland, and my wife of the time happened to know somebody in a town in Scotland that we could stay with. So it's always nice to stay with the locals. As I thought, we're locals. In conversations with this couple, we discovered that they'd been there for 4 or 5 years in this town in Scotland, and there's no way in the world that the locals considered them locals. In fact, the true locals in the town considered anybody that hadn't been living in the town for at least 100 years outsiders. So even a family that had moved to the town 50 years ago were still considered outsiders. So in that town, to be considered a local, your family had to be living there for at least 100 years. And, you know, I'll go to extremes. I like to go to extremes just to show people the possibilities of extremes versus the norms. And when I share with people this thought pattern, some people have gotten offended. Really, in North America, unless you're a native North American or First Nations person, you're an immigrant family. When I shared this with a friend of mine, and his family came to Canada about 300 years ago, and I said, Roger, you're an immigrant. He got quite offended until I explained the thought pattern, and then he reluctantly accepted the statement. But you know, the fact is, pretty well everybody that's come to North America as a white person is from an immigrant family, and so to find that level of acceptance in others, I relate as an immigrant family. My father and his parents, my grandparents, came to Poland. Came from Poland to Canada, here in Alberta, in the 1920s. And like every culture or ethnicity that came before them, they were ridiculed, they were shunned, they were oppressed. The Irish were oppressed, the Ukrainians were oppressed, the Chinese were oppressed, the East Indians were oppressed. Every new ethnicity or culture, whether regardless of color, that comes to this country has been at first ridiculed. And there's struggles that those immigrants go through to become accepted, to become part of our society, whether they're integrating or assimilating. It really doesn't matter. There's struggles involved. And there's barriers to access to services and all that kind of thing. And when we're finding acceptance for difference, respect the fact that because they're an immigrant or a cross-cultural person, they've likely experienced some difficulties in accessing services, some barriers, either they or their parents. And through their parents, they may have experienced some of that difficulty or that oppression. And so by honoring that, I engage people. By seeking first to understand, I engage people. So I honor that people from different cultures have struggles. And I honor that they have differences. And by accepting their differences and being inquisitive about their differences from a non-judgmental place, and by accepting that they've had some struggles that I, as a second-generation Canadian, don't have, a person of a white male, I don't have as many, some of the difficulties that a person of color that's an immigrant may have had. By honoring that, the respect grows in both people. So honor the fact that people have a right to their tradition, to their culture, and inquire about it. Okay? That's the second step. Ask a lot of questions. Show genuine interest. Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So try to understand where people are coming from. What questions do you ask? Ask about them. Ask. Show interest in them. Ask what they like, what they don't like. I'll ask about food. So what Canadian food do you like? What Canadian food don't you like? What Indian food do you like? What Indian food don't you like? What Chinese food do you like? What Chinese food don't you like? What Italian food do you like? What Italian food don't you like? And by asking all kinds of different questions, you'll find that you actually are the same in many ways. Don't put people in groups automatically. Ask about the different views in their culture. Ask about the different views in their family. By asking about differences in their cultures and the differences that exist in their cultures, you bring them into a state of accepting difference. By asking about the differences in the views within their own family, you bring them into a state of accepting difference. And when both people are in that state of accepting difference, because you've gotten there by starting to engage this person by asking questions, you build respect back and forth. And then it makes it easier to inspire and motivate people and to engage people when there's more respect. So if you're comfortable, other things that you can then ask about, if you're comfortable with managing sensitive topics, and I'll ask about political views and religious views. And the way that I keep that conversation safe is by focusing on common denominators and religions. I have a passion about religion, so I'll ask about different religions, and I focus on the common denominators, because there's 4 or 5 things that are common to every religion. So I focus on that, and that brings people, again, into that sense of commonality. Every religion will promote, do unto others as you want done unto yourself. Every religion will promote being nice to the other guy, being honest, being truthful, being faithful. Every religion will, or not every, most religions will promote those things. And look for those common denominators. Political views, when I'm talking about politics, regardless of political party, they want what they think is best for the country. So I'll focus on best for the country. And we'll talk about what's best for the country. And we might agree to disagree on a few things. But I'll look for common ground. I'm seasoned communicator. I know how to de-escalate or how to retract if I've made a mistake in my word choice, and I'll do it right in the moment. Don't hesitate to correct your mistake if you've made a statement that you think is incorrect. Don't hesitate to correct it right in midstream. It actually gains the respect of the other person when you correct yourself if you realize that you've made a mistake. And there's times I've made a mistake in the questions I've asked or in the topics I've shared, and I'll go back and I'll fix that. And fix those mistakes as soon as you've made them. But I'm not afraid to ask those sensitive questions. Another thing when you're asking questions, before asking questions, accept the fact that you know that you don't know. Many people make the mistake of thinking that they know when they don't. Even the most intuitive people I know, and you might consider yourself a very intuitive person. You can know what people are thinking and feeling just by sensing their energy. And I do know some people that are extremely intuitive. They can walk into a room and they can tell you what most of the people are thinking and feeling just by looking at their body language or their facial expression or listening to their tone in their conversation. But even the most intuitive people I know will be wrong 10% of the time. And often it's that 10% of the time that they're wrong that it causes the most issues and the biggest problem. So the rule of thumb is to ask and clarify and make sure that your intuition is correct. So again, we're back to asking questions. Even the most intuitive people I know will ask to confirm that their intuition is correct before assuming that they know what the other person is thinking or feeling or what their opinions or perceptions are on a particular topic. Ask and clarify. Difference is a fact of life in most cultures, and just because one person from a culture thinks about a topic in one way, that doesn't mean they all do. Don't put people in groups. Like I said, I've traveled to every different country, or to over 20 different countries. And in every country that I've traveled to, I'll find people that agree with me politically and disagree with me politically. I'll find people that agree with me on religion and that disagree with me on religion. I'll find people that agree with me on work ethic and disagree with me on work ethic. And that will be in every country and culture that I've traveled in. So whoever you are, you will find people that are like you in every culture. But you won't if you have a closed mind and you put everybody into groups and you don't keep open to the fact that every culture has people that are like you. So seek first to understand by asking questions, and you will find it easier to engage, inspire, and motivate. The third thing we're going to talk about today is finding common ground. People do things in common ways. Search for common ways with people of other cultures. If you're both working in the same workplace, there's chances are that you will have similarities and common ground in how you approach work. There's chances that you will have common ground in the common denominators of religions. You'll find common ground in food. Ask to find common ground. What do you like? Which type of Italian food do you like? Which type don't you like? Which type of Polish food do you like? Which type don't you like? Which kind of Chinese food do you like? Which ones don't you like? Because you'll find that everybody is different. And so explore the differences and talk about the different cultures and look for that stuff. In every culture, people we're losing our view here. In every culture, you will find commonalities and differences with yourself. So search for those. Some of the things that are common to all people. We all communicate in the same process. We sense, we think, we feel, we intend, we act. And you can find common ground by exploring the other person's human interaction process and getting agreement on the clarification that you truly do understand it. So what do you think when you see this process? Oh, and you clarify, so this is what you think when you see this process. And they say yes. That's a way of finding common ground and of building commonality, is by clarifying that you're interpreting what they're seeing, thinking, feeling, and intending correctly, making sure you get it right. That finds common ground. Often you can find commonalities and in discussing sports or recreation or art or food or home building or decorating or any of that kind of stuff. So what we want you to do is find common ground. So to recap, how to engage people and to inspire and to motivate people of a different culture. The first thing you do is find that acceptance for difference inside you that we all can access when we choose to. Number two, ask a lot of questions. Ask about them. Show interest. Genuinely inquire. And when you inquire and show genuine interest in another person, that comes back to you. That acceptance comes back to you. And the third thing is to find common ground. And you use this formula to engage people and to get them engaged. And then after that, and next week, we'll talk more about, after engagement, how do you inspire and motivate people from a different culture. So next week, we'll talk about that. This week, we talked about engagement and getting to that common ground, to showing that genuine interest and in accessing that sense of acceptance inside yourself. I hope you enjoyed today's talk. Go out and make it an awesome day. And don't forget to like our posts both here. Like the vlog blog at Success Tool Chest. All these videos are posted at Success Tool Chest vlog blog every week. We also post them at our YouTube channel, Mike Garska. Please like our channels, like our blogs, our posts. Check out findamentor.com, check out successtoolchest.com, where we offer communications programs, both in workshops, seminars, and an online program. Go out and make it an awesome day. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.